folks, welcome back to Good Enough Customs. So, last week we tore down the 454, my little $400 Facebook find. Found some disappointing things. Got the block stripped down, took it off, dropped it off to go to a machine shop, and they're just going to hot tank it, clean it up. I think it'll be ready on Monday, which is tomorrow, actually. So hopefully I can go pick that up tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. But in the meantime, what we're doing is I am working fruitlessly, I might add, on getting piston rings unstuck. So I think this one's number 7. The bottom ring, or the middle ring, second ring, this guy, hang on, let me get a pointer. So the ring that was here, that ring finally came out in pieces. This ring I have heated up. The piston, you can probably still see it smoking a little bit from all the other crap that's on here. I have hit this guy with Freall WD-40, hit it with the torch, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That thing won't budge. Actually, I did get one side of it to kind of move. I still have the same problem over here on pistons 5. I think this one's 6 and this one's 8. All of them have the top ring just stuck. So they're rusted in and they're not coming out. I've had them soaking in the diesel for a week, which did clean a lot of crap off of there and allowed me to get the bottom rings out, specifically on number 5 and number 7, because those were in there really bad. But again, they came out in pieces. That's just, there's so much rust and everything built up on the landings and the rings that they're just a part of it now. So I'm not sure what we're going to do. All I do know right now is number 7 is still, yeah, she's still pretty good and hot. So, I'm not touching that, but, that's just going to sit there and think about it for a little while. So with that guy sitting there cooling off, I got to set up a little table somewhere, in this area, and I'm gonna grab these heads, well, actually one head at a time, because those things weigh a little bit. Set up a little table, I'm gonna pull these heads over and start stripping them down and get them ready to kind of go through and clean up, and I guess figure out how to lap a valve today, maybe, if we get that far. Never done the valve lapping side of it before, but I've been told it's not that bad. And had it explained to me a couple times. It actually doesn't sound too terribly bad. Let's see, what else did we get? Ordered a boatload of parts, and yeah, Steve is my storage shelf right now. So we've got our bearings, our high volume oil pump, new rings, got my little dingle ball hone thing, assembly grease, got the cam with new lifters, got the intake, new push rods, gasket set, long tube headers. Don't mind this other stuff. That's another project. So that'll come down the road. But so we've got all this stuff back here just waiting on me to get this other stuff squared up. So yeah, like I said, I think today I'm still trying to figure out what to do on these rings, because they are stuck. They don't want to come off. So I guess while we're letting that one cool off, we'll work on these heads. Now, the rings may be a bigger issue though, because I can only heat up the pistons so much. Yes, I know they deal with explosions all the time inside the combustion chamber, but my fear is I get them too hot and, kind of damage the integrity of the piston. So I can only go so far with trying to get these freaking rings unstuck. That, and you can kind of see, hopefully you can see, yeah, you can see where there's some pretty nasty edges on these pistons. Not all of them are that way, some of them are that way. So I don't know, I may have to put a set of pistons in this guy. I haven't even checked the push rods, not the push rods, the piston rods. I haven't checked those yet to make sure that all of those are straight. I would assume they are, but you never know. Maybe I'll get a straight edge and check that here in just a minute. So hopefully I don't have to pick up another set of pistons for this guy. Mainly because, you know, that's just not in the budget right now. I'm pretty well over budget on the motor as it is. It's about, between buying everything I needed for the motor, it's about $1,500 worth of parts plus the cost of the motor. I had $1,200 set aside for the motor. I was like, I can squeeze up to around 15, but yeah, now I'm well past that. So anyways, so we're gonna try and save these pistons, but right now they're just gonna sit. That one, this guy particularly, number 7, he's just gonna sit there because he's way too hot to touch. So let me get sawhorses out, make up my little makeshift table here, so I can get this, get at least a head over here, and then we can start figuring out what all needs to happen to tear this guy down. So be right back. All right, first things first, we gotta get all the rockers off of here. So we're going to get these guys pulled off. All right, so rockers are off. Next step would be to actually take off the studs, take the studs out, and take our push rod guides. Pull those guys out, but we're gonna go ahead and pull the valves. So I've got to make a spring compressor for this. So I'll figure all I'm going to do is just take a scrap piece of steel that'll bolt up or meet up in here and have a cut out here to where I can push the spring down, pull the keepers out, and then disassemble the valves. So yeah, so I guess that's what I'm going to do real quick, try to figure out something. So I'll be right back when I figure that out. All right, this is what I come up with. Just a piece of angle iron. Cut a slide out here for the valve spring to be pushed down, and a slide here to slide up under. Put a nut back on the rocker stud, slide it up underneath there. I took a rag and shoved it up in the combustion chamber to hold the valve up. So that should hold the valve up enough to where I can get the keepers out. And yeah. Look at there. Easy peasy. Fantastic. Now, just got, I don't know, 8 more or 7 more to go. So, do these really quick. Before I go too far, so I don't knock these off and screw up a valve, I'm gonna go get a box, put some holes in it, and mark them so that way I know which cylinder goes where. All right, so took a box, just marked them out, put exhaust intake, basically the same layout as they are on the heads, and just labeled them. That's 8642, and then I just put all my pieces and parts in here. Just kind of keeping everything in order, because to be honest, I've never done this, so I'm not sure what all needs to be where. So we got to get these rocker studs out. I tried using my little ratchet, didn't work. Tried using the big ratchet, didn't work. Shot them with some Freol, and now we're going to bring in the impact. So let's see if we can't run a couple of these out now. All right, so now we got to go through and clean all this stuff up. So, you know, this is the main concern, is just all this just nasty rust and flaking up crap. Every bit of that's going to wind up back in the oil or back in the combustion chamber, and we'll be in the same boat we're in now. I mean, good God. Stuff's just rough. But it's not anything terrible. This is just, you know, hitting it with the wire brush, staying away from your valve guides or your the little brass bushings inside these guys. I don't remember if that's what they're called as the guides or not, but staying away from those guys. Luckily, we don't have a whole lot of rust going on over here. Everything's pretty much up here on this top edge. Once we get this top edge kind of cleaned up, well, you know, I'll prep it before I go hitting it with the wire brush. Get rid of this oil and stuff. I'll hit it with some brake clean, knock all that loose. I'll probably go ahead and pull these little studs out for the valve covers. So that way I'm not banging my knuckles into them. But we'll get this guy cleaned up with some brake clean, get all the oil and crap off of it, and that way we can really get in there and clean this rust and stuff up, and then flip it over. And once we get her flipped over, God, they're still heavy as hell. Once we get them flipped over, we get into the combustion chambers and get them cleaned up. And if you notice over here on number 8, that intake is, yeah, it's got mud in it. How in the hell did I get mud? So, yeah, that's bad, man.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll clean that up. Actually, that matches right up with the intake port for number 8. So, yeah, she gross. But we'll get her all cleaned up, make her look shiny. Well, maybe not shiny, but look a hell of a lot better than it does currently. So, I guess I'm going to get to cleaning this up, and yeah, I'll check back in with y'all here in a few. All right, just hit it with the brake clean, letting it sit here dry out in the sun a little bit, and get a little bit better shot of all the rust. It's not as much as it looked on the inside, but a lot of that was because of all the grime and grease and crap all up in here. So primarily it's focused around cylinder number 8. You can see all the, I mean, it's just, God, it's bad right in there. And then you can see a little bit better. See if I can't lift this thing. You can kind of see number 8's intake runner is just terrible. So I'm gonna let this thing finish drying up, and then I'll hit it with the wire brush and clean it up real good. Not gonna use a real firm wire brush, probably a softer one, just so I don't do any damage to the head. So I got to do that, and then I got to figure out how I'm going to clean and smooth that intake port up a little bit better, because it's pretty rough all the way back. So so we'll figure out that one here in just a little bit too. So while I'm waiting on that, I do need to make a run to the parts house, so I think I'm going to do that real fast, and then I'll be back and we can get started on that, cleaning up that cylinder head. So got a it's a fairly soft little I think it's a brass bristle or something. This I'm just going to go to knock down the big stuff, and then I've got a nylon brush, and I'm going to go try to get the smaller stuff and just try to clean it up. We're not looking to take a bunch of material off or anything. So all right, well, you can see, hopefully, out of the shadow, that looks a lot better. It's still not 100%. I just need to go over it a couple more times and try to knock down the rest of this rust. But yeah, looking a lot better. That ought to clean up real nice. Next thing we're going to do is roll this thing over and clean the combustion chamber side out. But I'm going to finish up this side first, and I'll get right back with you. All right, top side is pretty well done. It's kind of hard to see with the shadows and all, but came out pretty good. I even went through and hit all the push rod guides, holes, whatever you want to call them. Went through and hit those guys. They had a lot of gunk and rust and crap built up in those. So what we're going to do now is inside the combustion chamber part of the head. So I'm going to go through here with my little cut brush and just try to clean this stuff out as best I can. You know, again, not looking for perfection here, just trying to make it better than it was. All right, folks, so got the cylinder head back inside. You know, chambers are not too bad. They're, you know, cleaned up. I'm not looking for show quality here. So just knocking all the crap loose off of them, shot them with some brake clean. That seemed to do a pretty good job. Down here on this number 8 intake port, that's pretty rough. Yeah, let's see. Let's get down here. You can see just how bad that guy is. And then you look at his neighbor. Hello, hello, hello. So very, very rough. I'm gonna have to get in there and get this cleaned up. This guy, nice and smooth. So yeah, so we got to do that. I'm not 100% sure how to do that. I do have some stone bits for my, you know, this guy. So I'm figuring maybe get some stone bits down in there and try to, you know, smooth it out a little bit, knock the rust loose. Not 100% sure. Do a little research on that. Like I said before, this is the first time I'm working on heads. I've never done anything with heads except take them off, put them on. So, so another thing we're gonna work on real quick, since we're sensuous, since we're here, is the oil drain back slots, holes, whatever you want to call them. So we've got this guy, and that's just, you know, big, nasty, ugly thing. So we'll get in there and clean this guy up. And same thing over here. That one might be a little bit more difficult to get to. Might have to go on the other side. And there is another one right down here. That guy's pretty gross too. So we'll take and clean that one up. That one will have to get from the other side. This one we might have to get from the other side. I'm not sure. So we're gonna get started on that here in just a second, and we'll flip it over and do the other ones. Be back in a second. So got those oil passages cleaned back in, cleaned up really good. So yeah, so if you look down here, let's grab a light. So you can see that's opened up quite a bit more. It's nice smooth edges. Same thing there. I actually opened that one up a little bit, but if you open that little guy up, you just got to kind of watch where your webbing is, and not, you know, try not to get into the rest of the head. You know, you don't want to start grinding away parts of the supports and pieces of the head. And then over here, smooth this guy out pretty good, to where he doesn't have a hard ridge on it now, and it's actually, you know, mostly round shaped. So yeah, so got all that cleaned up. Next things to do on this head is cleaning up that intake port, you know, for number 8, where it's just really, really bad. I got to do a little homework on that one because I'm not 100% sure the best way to clean that up. I'm thinking my little stone things should work, but not 100%. Don't want to screw something up, so we're going to take it easy on that. Once I get that done, then I can take and get my intake gasket out, and I can get over here on the intakes, and I can set the gasket up here, and we can kind of gasket match it and try to, you know, pull these outside edges, roll them out a little bit, you know, open them up just a little bit. So, because these are peanut port heads, and there's not a ton of stuff for the peanut ports. There's very few things that are specifically for the peanut port. And some of the digging and hunting I did, the oval port's pretty similar to the peanut port. Peanut port's like 1.5 inches tall by 1.4 something wide, so it's damn near square. Where the oval port is 1 3/4 inches tall by I think 1.5 inch wide. Not 100% on that, don't quote me, but it was just a little bit bigger. So so the intake I bought was actually for an oval port, which is also what the gaskets are. So I figure we can try to port match the gaskets a little bit, try to make those work as best we can. And then we'll do the same thing on the exhaust. Once I get my exhaust manifold or header gaskets, once I get those, I'll lay them up here, and then we'll check and see what needs to be done on the exhaust side of the head too. But until, you know, up until that time though, I got other stuff to work on out here. You know, still got to clean all the grit and grime out of all the little nooks and crannies, like right there. I used my finger earlier and got a nice little sliver in it. So yeah, we got little nooks and crannies that still have grit and grime and crap in it. And then we've also got the edge right here along this flashing that's right through here. I'm gonna hit that with the flap disc. You know, we got just a really nice edge right there. That thing right there, if you ain't paying attention, that right there will get you. But yeah, we'll go through and just kind of flap disc and clean up the edges on this guy, similar to what we did on the block. Just make it nice and smooth, clean it up a little bit. Once I get done with this head, I get to do it all over again because I have the other head to work on too. So it never ends. But still got these heads to finish up. Still working on a stupid piston. You can see it over there over my shoulder mocking me. That top ring just won't bust loose on all 4 of the ones that I'm stuck on. So I've been heating that guy up off and on throughout the day. Heating it up real good, probably too much. You know, shooting it with some WD-40, letting it cool down, heating it up again, just trying to get that freaking rust to break loose. I don't know if it's going to break loose. So if it doesn't, then I guess I'm getting new pistons, which, yeah, I can swing it, but man, it's going to make traveling a little bit tight. I have to like stay like Motel 6 or something whenever we go traveling for these shows. So that and bring you know, bologna sandwich stuff.
Mom, my sandwich is all wet.
Yeah, they're all wet, but... Oh, God. The dog went on the picnic basket.
And just eat bologna and maybe campgrounds. Yeah, campground. I might could do that, just camp. So, I don't know yet. So, anyways, so that's going to wrap it up for this one. I apologize. This one isn't as there's not as much as I wanted to cover in this one as I usually like to cover. But with our C10 spring pre-show kickoff thing, I forget what it's called. We had that yesterday, and that took up a big chunk of the day. And then also driving all day long, it felt like. There was a lot of traffic. I was pretty beat last night. So I only came out and did maybe work for an hour last night. And I was like, no, I need to go to bed. I was beat. So got out here today, did some stuff. Just running out of time. I got to go get all the editing done. So I'm going to keep fighting with these stupid pistons, see if I can get these rings loose. Looking at you little turd. But see if I can get these things loose. At a certain point, I'm just going to say screw it and just order some pistons. I still need to check the rods, make sure they're good and straight. They should be. I don't see any reason why they would be bent, but we'll double check them anyways. But yep, that's pretty much it. So working on the heads, and then we'll get to working on these valves, getting them cleaned up. Those guys, they're not too bad except for like number 8 intake valve. It's got a lot of rust on it, but I'm pretty much just going to use Scotch-Brite pad, clean all the carbon and crap off of them, and hopefully we can save number 8. If not, I'll just have to buy an intake valve, I guess. And then we'll see what the other ones hold as well, because they may be shot as, you know, 5 and 7 on this other head may be shot as well. So I do appreciate y'all guys watching. It means a bunch, keeps me motivated to keep out here doing this stuff. If you like the video, be sure to hit that like button. If you made it this far and you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting on? It's just that little thing right there in the corner. Just click on that, subscribe to the channel, helps grow the channel. If you got any comments, questions, whatever, drop them down below. I read them all. And if y'all guys don't follow me on social media, my social medias are down there at the bottom. I don't really do a whole lot on Twitter. Actually, I pretty much do nothing on Twitter. Occasionally I throw stuff out on TikTok, but typically it's Facebook and Instagram. I'll post stuff up. You know, kind of like yesterday I posted up a picture of Big John. And whenever we went out to the little, you know, pre-show season show thing. But anyways, I do appreciate it, and I hope y'all guys have a good week ahead, and I'll work on getting some more of this stuff done for y'all. So, and for me. So, till next time, folks, just remember, it ain't got to be perfect, just good enough. And we'll talk with y'all later.